Mm-hmm. Mm-mm. For the life of me, I mean, it's amazing to be in the world, but not of the world. But you can't help but just like, it's almost, there's an epidemic of blindness that's really just, it's really sad. Like when Jesus said that the devil comes and takes, in the Mark 4, when the bird snatches the seed, it says the devil comes and takes the, snatches it from people's eyes to see the truth. And it's really fascinating. So I got wind of this video this morning. I was looking for something else, and I saw this video of an interview with Caitlyn Jenner on GBN. I think it's Great Britain News. And for those of you who know, Caitlyn Jenner was formerly Bruce Jenner, which is sort of the stepfather of Kim Kardashian, Khloe, and Courtney. But the father of Kylie and I forgot the other one's name, the Jenner girls. So apparently transitioned in 2015 to a woman, and was was called, like, I mean, I remember this was like a big deal. I remember they were Time magazine, I think, made Caitlyn Woman of the Year or something. And so she sort of has, I would say, and I'm saying she in light of, just to stay with the topic, I think as a matter of fact, actually biologically, this is going to be an interesting video, because Caitlyn Jenner, which is a he, would say that he is not trans. So it's a really interesting video. So I was watching this and I thought, Caitlyn Jenner, I think, led the conversation about trans women being real women, especially initially when becoming Woman of the Year and all that type of stuff. I could be wrong. I don't remember Caitlyn Jenner debating that designation. This was towards the end of Obama's presidency. So there's an interview that Caitlyn Jenner did where she's talking about wokeism and I just thought, it's really fascinating to watch this stuff play out. And it's sad on one level, but it's really like, wow, this is kind of crazy. So tell me if maybe I'm wrong. Like, see if you see what I see. All right. It's going to be a little bit faster in terms, but you should be able to hear what they're saying, because I don't want to get hit with a copyright infringement. All right. But we're going to skip part of it, but let's listen to this for a minute. Then we're going to skip more towards the end, but just listen to this conversation.
I just think the woke movement has just gone too far. Yeah. Okay. I can be fair and not be woke.
Yes, I agree.
I can be a caring person and not be woke. I care about people. That's why I do what I do. I feel like when I came out, 2015, it's been 8 years. At first I thought I could change the world. And I thought, wow, because my last conversation I had before I decided to do this was with God. Mm-hmm. I don't go to church all the time, but I'm a person of faith. So that's always been in the back of my mind. Like, God, why did you do this to me? I think anybody who has challenges in life and they have any faith in their heart whatsoever, they ask, why did you do this to me? And here my whole life, I've been dealing with my identity and who I am. And why is there a reason for this? Am I doing the right thing? And when I go up that day, you walk up the stairs into the pearly gates and God's sitting there. And I said, my God, did I do a good job? You want him to say yes. And so I've been thinking about all of that for so long that my last person I had to talk to when I was walking through a field, I remember, and said, God, am I doing the right thing? Is there a reason for this? And I just got the feeling that it was like, it's okay. You can do this. You can live your life authentically. I felt like he said yes. And it was kind of like the last thing I needed. And that's when.
All right. So as you can see, if you're a believer, the pitfalls in that, right? The first is like, God, why did you do this to me? Right? This sense of, I got to be honest. I've never really struggled with my identity in that way. My children haven't in that way. So I could be insensitive to the struggle because, I have my own struggles. Everyone has struggles, right? So I could be insensitive to the struggle of that, but to be like, God, why did you do this to me? I'm not sure what this is, but I imagine it's giving me these gender identity struggles, which I find fascinating, because if you believe that there is a God, then you have to believe that there is an adversary to God. You just can't choose to believe in God and not the devil, or choose to believe in the devil. It would be an imbalance to reality, right? There is a yin and a yang, so to speak, of reality. If there's a God, then there's a devil. If there's a devil, then there's God. If there's evil, there's good. If there's good, there's evil. So I just think it's fascinating when I hear Caitlyn Jenner and others say, like, God, why did you do this to me? And he doesn't say this in this video, but it sounds like he thinks God is a loving, gracious God, which is why he's asking this question. How come they never think, hey, maybe it wasn't God, but it was the devil? Like, maybe it's God giving you the strength to resist these things, rather than it's just interesting how everyone blames God, but they don't ever blame the devil. They don't ever think, maybe the devil is the one giving me these confusing desires and so forth. And then he said he was walking, and then he felt like God said, yes, live your authentic self. Again, no question of what if this wasn't God that said yes. Like, the devil speaks, he gives gifts, he makes promises, he does things so that you'll believe in him, right? So it's fascinating to me that Caitlyn Jenner would think that God is saying, live your authentic self and live opposite of the way that I've created you. And that's your authentic self. And that's somehow God. It's really fascinating when you watch this stuff. So I just think, it's sad in many ways, but here's where it continues.
Besides all my children, because I talked to all my children about this, that I had to know I was doing the right thing, and that me coming out could change and save a lot of lives. That's what I was hoping, but especially at first. That because obviously I couldn't do it privately.
No.
I was already a big time celebrity, big time. I was known all over the world. I thought about, why don't I just move to Alaska, to the backwoods, and live in a place, but I'd have to leave all my children. I'd leave all the things that I couldn't do it that way. So if I do it, I just have to try to do it right, and do it with respect, and do it with a dignified way, not only for myself and my family, but for trans people in general. I tried to do it that way. And it was a struggle. I mean, it was at first, you're kind of riding on this little high, and then it gets harder and harder, because my views, being a Republican, being conservative, being all of those types of things, they're not on the normal side of what trans people are. They're all kind of woker than I am.
So where do you get the flack from?
Oh, I get it from most of it's all from the trans community.
Yeah.
I've never had a problem in general. There's the whole bathroom thing and this, and I have not been in a men's room in 8 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So a lot of the challenges come from his perspective, the trans community, because he's trans, but he's not woke, right? So he would say he's conservative, he's trans, but he's not woke. God told him to live his authentic self and so forth. And this is when I did a video a couple days ago about, like, they stole from us the definition of love and what love is. And so when you hear conversations like this, it's almost like it almost feels like it's unloving to call him a he, but he actually, in this clip, the next portion we're about to watch, listen to what he says about trans women, and you'll see just the reality of the Mark 4 parable that Jesus talked about. Satan snatches. I mean, you could already see that already, but listen to what he says about at the end of this video about trans women, and he would consider himself a trans woman, but listen to what he says right here. I was just like, wow, it's really fascinating. And and remember, keep in mind, he's being attacked because he's conservative, he's Republican, right? I think it's important to this because I think a lot of times conservative believers tend to think that the woke or the whole sexual acronym community is only the left. Like, go Google log cabin Republicans, right? And see that, like, Melania Trump in Mar-a-Lago in April and also in New York City in June did a fundraiser for log cabin Christians, which are essentially a sexual acronym community group that are conservatives. And she raised like $1.5 million. There's a facade. There may be some moral differences between the two in terms of what they publicly advocate for, but underneath it all, if you are not with Jesus, then you're against him. It doesn't matter if you have more morality in some of your political views. If you're either with the Lord or you're against him. You're for him or against him. And so these conservatives, Republicans, have lobbyist groups that are straight sexual acronym community. Caitlyn Jenner is an advocate Republican, but they would make you think that it's the left is the only ones, the Democrats are the only ones that are pushing the sexual acronym community agenda. And that's just not true. It's just the conservatives are a little bit less flashy and trashy with it, right? But listen to what he says about trans women right here. I thought this was interesting.
But I'm saying
woke
in general, they
Democrats.
don't want to debate or discuss it because for some reason they regard that as unnecessary. They just feel
Yeah, well, they think it's their way or the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just like the other day, Riley Gaines, she's the girl who's been talking in the United States a lot. She was the one who swam against Leah Thomas. And she has been a big advocate of keeping trans women out of women's sports. And I'm a big supporter. She's a good friend and has done wonderful work. But she was in San Francisco a couple of months back giving a speech to students there. And she had a bunch of trans people just literally come after her, hit her. As she said, there was a guy in a dress and the other ones, and it was videotaped. And you could hear that.
All right, so real quick, so he said there's a guy in a dress and he made a face like, I've seen Caitlyn Jenner in dresses. Like, let me tell you what I'm really trying to get at here. Is like, this is where I think as believers, you have to be careful about how staunchly political you are. This is why I talk about theological. And I'm going to bang this drum until the election's over, because this is what happens. Caitlyn Jenner, just by that little, like, there's a guy wearing a dress and he makes his face. Now, I don't know what he meant by that. I'm imagining, based on the other things he said in this video, that he's making that out to be something. But I've seen Caitlyn Jenner wear a lot of dresses, right? So there is almost like a self-righteousness towards the trans community that he says is woke, because he thinks he's different than them because he has conservative values versus woke or liberal values, right? He thinks he's different from them. And biblically speaking, he's not, right? And so what I'm getting at is you can think that you're in a more moral position because you don't subscribe to some of the ideologies of a different group of people, but you're not in a more moral position, especially when you imitate almost identically what they do, which is what Caitlyn Jenner is doing in this video. I thought it was fascinating to seemingly be smug towards a guy wearing a dress when we've all seen her wear dresses all the time. But it gets even better. This is where it happens right here.
Them in the background, these trans women yelling, trans women are real women, and on and on and on, making fools of themselves. Okay. And that's not good. It's horrible for trans people in general. Yeah. It's horrible. It makes us look selfish. The Leah Thomas of the world, trans girls swimming, it's not good for trans people. It makes them look selfish, self-indulged. It's like all about me. It's not about all these other girls I'm beating. I don't even play in my golf, in my club's women's tournaments. They've asked me to play in the women's golf tournament. Oh, yeah. But I can outdrive them by 100 yards. I haven't been on testosterone in 8 years, and I can still hit the ball 280 yards. Okay. I'm still long, my arms, this and that.
So it's not fair.
But this is the way I look at myself. I see these, trans women are real women. No, you're not. Okay. That's the bottom line. This is the way I look at my life. I have everything changed. Birth certificate, gender marker, F. Okay. Everything's changed. Driver's license. I'm a pilot. My pilot's license. You name every piece of everything that's in my name is legally Caitlyn Marie Jenner, gender marker, F. Okay. As I said earlier, I haven't used the men's room in a million years and probably never will, and have never had a problem. I mean, I go in there. I'm respectful of the other women that they're there. They certainly, a lot of them will know who you are. I go in and do my business and get out.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody starts up a conversation, I'll have a conversation with them. But there we go. Whoa,
He's drinking your water.
Yeah, yeah. And so I live my life as a woman, but I don't consider myself this, like, I am a woman now and on and on. No, I consider myself a trans person.
Yeah.
All right. So if you can see what I'm, so in Caitlyn Jenner's mind, there is a difference because, so there's some trans who think they're not real people. They just think I'm trans. And then there's some that think I'm actually what I identify as. And it sounds, and it gives Caitlyn Jenner a degree of confidence and somewhat, I think, self-righteousness towards those, because I skipped through the middle of the video. It was really hammering the woke and the left and the people who would say that they are real women. But in all seriousness, though, like when you stand before God and give an account, like, is that going to really matter at all? Will that, and when you're watching this, do you make a distinction between these two? Like, this is a reversal of what God has ordained, and Caitlyn didn't even blame God at the beginning. I just think there's such a blindness in our society, and I think we can either be self-righteous towards it or have compassion and be sad. And it is a challenge to not be self-righteous, because it's like, what are you talking about? Especially those who demand that we agree with their blindness. But there is also just a sadness, like, wow, like, I don't know how many of you have or know someone that you care about that's really struggled with this, where you've wrestled with, I need to kind of acquiesce to this because it's hurting them. Like when Caitlyn Jenner said, I thought I could save people's lives and stuff. Like I know what that means in the context of what Caitlyn Jenner is saying, what he's saying. But like, I'm worried that believers are so confused on like love and truth that we lose discernment, we lose distinction. And so this is what I appreciate that Caitlyn Jenner said at the beginning of the video. I can be compassionate, I can be understanding, but not woke. That's the one thing, the best thing that was said in that video. Because I can be compassionate towards those people. That's a serious struggle. I can be compassionate and not woke. I can be kind. I don't need to be rude to people and call out their sin all the time and make sure I offend them so that they know that I'm not agreeing. I don't have to be that way. I appreciate that designation because I think it's true. I think that's what believers have to do. And I think too, you got to figure out, what hills are you willing to die on? Like, sometimes we're willing to die on hills that I think, it's not that serious to me, honestly. If you want me to call you Caitlyn, I don't care. I'm not going to, I call people nicknames all the time. I'm not calling you, if you don't want to be called Bruce, that's Bruce. But if you ask me to believe and say, do you think I would say, no, I don't think you're a biological woman. I think you're a psychological woman. You identify with one psychologically. I think that's a problem. I'm not going to say you're a biological woman, but I'm not going to die on certain hills. Like, right? I wouldn't like risk my job or something. Depends on what it was. But like, there's a difference between, all right, I got to tolerate this in society, and then I got to celebrate it. Like, I'd never celebrate it, but tolerate it, sure, we just have to. So it's just fascinating. I hope you see this. There's an epidemic of blindness happening in the world, and it's really satanic. It's 2 Corinthians 4. It's the parable of the sower in Mark 4. It's 2 Corinthians 11. You know, you have to see this. And when I see someone like Caitlyn Jenner, I just think, wow, Caitlyn Jenner, and what she's doing is, by thinking God approves of her and that she has a moral bent versus a liberal bent, she is doing what a lot of Christians have done, is equating conservative values with the faith, with Christianity. So as long as I'm not woke, as long as I'm not left, I don't vote liberal, I'm good with God. Do you see the deeper distinction? because there are a lot of believers who think as long as I'm not woke, as long as I don't vote Democrat or agree with the left, I'm good. And it's like, no, you're good if you believe in Jesus and then if you live for Jesus. It's not just making a profession of faith, right? Jesus said these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Where are the fruits of the Spirit at? Like, so there's all of those things that come with being a believer. But there's this idea that if, as long as I'm not woke and as long as I don't vote Democrat and I have conservative values, I'm good with God. Caitlyn Jenner said that pretty much in this video. And a lot of believers think that as long as I don't vote Democrat, I'm good. And I think glorifying God has a lot more than who you vote for. It means a lot more than that. And what ideologies, what political affiliation that you have. Sure, one could be more moral in certain regards, but God isn't after moralism. He's not after moralism. So that's just crazy thought. Caitlyn Jenner, man, she needs the Lord for real. Because whatever God that she heard that told her to live her authentic self wasn't the God of the scriptures. But I could be wrong. What do I know, right?